Greetings from Denver, Colorado. Jerry Trupiano here with another Oilers football game. For the Oilers, it's been a season that has been packed with thrills. The Oilers, after finishing 9-6 this season, knocked off Seattle last week at home to win the AFC wildcard game and advance to the AFC divisional playoffs here in Denver against the Broncos.
Showtime, baby, showtime!
28 teams had joined the battle. Only 8 had survived. And glowing proudly among the NFL's elite were the remarkable Houston Oilers. They defied the odds, the opposition, and even gravity as they soared towards a championship. Before them now lay the unenviable challenge of stopping John Elway and his Broncos on their own turf, a challenge none had answered all year. Despite an all-out team effort, the Oilers' Super Bowl Express finally ran out of gas against the eventual AFC champions, 2 stops short of its goal. It was a bitter defeat for this brave young team, but in the end, one dark night could never obscure the brilliance of a starlit season of glory. Dedicated to victory, this talented team charged out of the past and into a bold new era of Houston Oilers football.
And Gibbons breaks away at the 30, needs a block at the 35, the 40, the 45, midfield, needs another block at the 45, comes back near side 40. 25, 30. Needs another block at the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown! What an incredible play by Ernest!
Under the leadership of owner K.S. Bud Adams Jr. and Executive Vice President General Manager Ladd Herzig, the Oilers captured the hearts of Texans all as they were learning about character, teaching us about pride, and finding the way to win. As the blazing summer sun gave way to the cool skies of autumn, the Astrodome resounded with hope for the 1987 Houston Oilers. And for opening day, head coach Jerry Glanville had prepared an old-fashioned Lone Star welcome for the Los Angeles Rams. Richard Byrd's sack set the pace for the defense, but the offense wasn't quite yet up to speed. Before they looked up, the Oilers were down 16-3. But a team with faith in itself never dies after just 3 periods, and the Oilers would soon make everyone believe in fourth quarter magic.
Rose, caught by Gibbons across the 50, to the 45, the 40, he may go. The 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown!
Charged by Ernest Gibbons' 54-yard catch and lightning run, Houston electrocuted the Rams with 17 fourth-quarter points. But in 1987, such improbabilities became second nature for the second-year wonder from Louisville. Once he caught the ball, no one was harder to bring down. And with a team leading 53 catches, Gibbons proved to be as consistent a threat as he was deadly. But as Jerry Glanville knows, it is only as part of a downfield dynamic duo where Gibbons finds his special success.
Having both of them, I think, is really the key. Having one wouldn't do any good in this league because they'll shut one down. But if they try to take him away, of course, Drew Hill will go on and maybe catch 14 or 15 on you in one game also. So having two keeps them both pretty dangerous.
In the past 3 years, no one in the AFC has caught passes for more yardage than Drew Hill. His team-high 989 acrobatic yards, combined with Gibbons' 933, to make them the single most effective pass-catching tandem in the NFL. This beautifully efficient combination represented the new chemistry that was quickly turning the rebuild Oilers into big-time contenders. But it was a chemistry that went up in smoke in Week 3, when the players' strike left management in a bind to find replacements.
In our first practice, we had 19 people, 3 of which were quarterbacks, 2 of which quit the following day, 5 of which were declared ineligible by the league because they weren't who they said they were. 1 had died 4 years prior to coming out on our team. And so we worked very hard not only to coach players, but to find players.
At first glance, the Houston replacements more closely resembled a circus than a football team.
We had 2 prison guards who were guards on death row. Both players found it much more interesting being with us because they could say, hope to see you tomorrow, where they said on death row that was a touchy subject. And then we have a pro wrestler, which has been a fun guy to be around. You never know if he's going to tackle you or body slam you.
Safety cowboy Craig Birdsong had been to the school of hard knocks in the wrestling ring. But guard Doug Kellermeyer had to get used to rough living as well. Not so easy for this amateur opera singer used to hitting high notes, not high-charging linemen. Coach Glanville thought he'd seen it all until he ran into a kicker just minutes before the first game.
We had a field goal kicker that did not know who I was the day of the game, and I didn't know who he was. I went on the field. I asked him who he was. He said he was one of the kickers, and I said, for which team, Denver or Houston? He said, I'm Houston's kicker. And I said, gee, that's great. I'm with Houston. He said, what do you do? I said, I'm one of the coaches.
Down the middle. All right.
Once everyone got to know each other, though, it was nothing but business. Quarterback Brent Pease directed a near-flawless offense that bombed the Broncos with 40 points and earned Pease a spot on the permanent roster.
That's the Oilers 31, and Karcher wants to throw. The rush is on. The ball is thrown, and it is intercepted. Eugene Seal. He might go all the way.
Linebacker Eugene Seal and safeties Kenny Johnson and Domingo Bryant all caught on with the team when the regular season resumed. They had delivered 2 key road wins, a tribute to the coach's hard work under pressure and to the spirit of these dreamers who helped to make the Oilers winners.
We may be scared, but we're the best ones.
Week 7, and while this potential replacement player showed up just a little too late, the Oilers were discovering one player for whom there could be no substitute. He had won the Heisman Trophy in 1983, and after 3 long years of injury and frustration, Mike Rozier's present was finally looking as rosy as his past. With his unique combination of elusiveness and power, Rozier converted potential ability into Pro Bowl performance. It is no coincidence that 1987 also witnessed the coming of age of Houston's massive offensive line. Behind the united strength of All-Pro Mike Munchak, Bruce Matthews, Dean Steinkuhler, Jay Pennison, and Bruce Davis, Rozier found his way to 5 100-yard efforts and 957 yards in all. Before the strike, Rozier was leading the league in rushing, and against Atlanta, he may have been wearing a new number, but the results were the same.
They run the option again. Here comes Moon. Pitches the ball now to Rozier, who will go in for the touchdown. Warren Moon running the option.
144 yards from Rozier controlled the flow of the game, but a newfound aerial team of Warren Moon and rookie Curtis Duncan would be needed to win it.
Moon, back to pass, looks to the end zone, looks, now he's pressured, throws to the end zone, touchdown!
1 week later, when the Oilers found themselves down 15 points with 6 minutes remaining, the 10th round draftee from Northwestern showed he could do more than just catch passes. After 5 touchdowns on his first 8 NFL catches, Duncan returned this kickoff 62 yards to set up a score. On the ensuing kickoff, Eric Fairs and his special teammates gave Cincinnati a lesson in covering kicks. Alan Lyday knocked the ball loose, and an alert Kenny Johnson recovered the fumble. Then it was time for the quarterback to take over. Houston's ever-resourceful leader set up a touchdown on this 20-yard dash, And then with time running out, he completed the comeback.
Third and goal. Moon takes it, dives in, touchdown! Warren Moon!
Such were the heroics delivered regularly by Houston's #1 man. For in 1987, his fleet feet and rifle arm came together to give the veteran his greatest NFL year ever. Along with the terrific twins, Gibbons and Hill, Moon found rising stars Willie Drury and top pick Haywood Jeffries, number 84. At tight end, number 87, Jamie Williams, completed the arsenal with whom Warren riddled the opposition with 21 touchdowns. Most by an Oiler since George Blanda's 24 scores 24 years before. And so Moon brought his passing attack to Pittsburgh's Three Rivers Stadium, a stage where the steel curtain had dropped 9 straight losses on Houston. But this was 1987, and Warren Moon was writing a brand new script for the Oilers. Moon unleashed a barrage of bombs, carving up Pittsburgh's secondary on an amazing 16 of 22 passing for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if Moon seemed merciless on offense, then All-Pro Keith Bostic and the defense were devastating. Houston ravaged Pittsburgh's offense in the Oilers' most awesome defensive display in a decade. It was a performance born of the guts that the league's most exciting young unit showed all season. At the corners, number 24, Steve Brown, and Patrick Allen patrolled the sidelines with a reckless abandon, equaled only by safeties Bostic, number 31, Jeff Donaldson, and Richard Johnson. But it all begins up front with big number 99, Doug Smith, Richard Byrd, Charles Martin, number 95, William Fuller, and sack leader Ray Childress, number 79. Childress also led the Oilers in inspiration, an area where outside linebackers Robert Lyles and number 91 Johnny Meads excelled as well. Inside, leading tacklers Al Smith, number 54, and John Grimsley simply controlled the game. And the defense led the 6-3 Oilers into a first-place shootout with the Cleveland Browns. Houston never cleared the hoster. The clock that had just read high noon now looks set to toll midnight on the Oilers' Cinderella season. After a second straight tough loss at Indianapolis, the Houston Oilers were at the crossroads. No one believed they had the talent, the experience, or the character to pull through. No one, that is, but themselves. And the defense did lead them.
Here is Fouts back to pass. The blitz is on. He's hit. He lost the ball. It's laying loose, and it's picked up. And here goes Robert Lyles, and he may go all the way. At the 25-20, 15-10, 5, touchdown.
Blitzing on virtually every down, Houston stormed over San Diego and right back into first place. Were the Oilers just pretenders or true contenders? The verdict was in. They had found the way to win.
The win is the enjoyment. That's the only fun in the job. And I think when you lose as a head coach, you die. A piece of you dies every time that things don't go right. And I don't think you have to be the head coach to have those highs and lows.
On the verge of one of the greatest highs in franchise history, Houston faced Pittsburgh in a Week 15 rematch. The stakes: survival to the winner, elimination to the loser. Alan Pinkett helped carry the load on the ground and scored his second touchdown in 3 weeks. But again, as in Pittsburgh, it was Moon to Hill that did the Steelers in.
Here comes a big rush. Moon throws the ball deep downfield in the end zone. Touchdown!
2 long scoring passes knocked the Steelers down 24-16. But it was up to the defense to deliver the final blow. Jeff Donaldson intercepted 2 passes in the last 4 minutes and gave Houston its first ever season sweep of Pittsburgh. With 1 game left, the Oilers had destiny in their own hands. On top of their offensive success, the Oilers had Alonzo Highsmith waiting in the wings. When they asked him to block, he was dominating. But in Week 16, they asked him to shine, and the NFL witnessed the birth of a star.
Ball is thrown. Highsmith wide open inside the 30, to the 25, to the 20. The 15, the 10, the 5. Touchdown! Alonzo Highsmith. His first touchdown in the NFL as he took that pass.
A moment before, he was just another rookie with potential. One spectacular move later, he was helping deliver Houston's first playoff berth in 8 years. The future had arrived, and there was no turning back. Three first-half touchdowns provided the necessary points, and when Warren Moon and Mike Rozier masterfully ran out the final 5 minutes and 19 seconds, the Houston Oilers were playoff bound. The Oilers had turned the corner to success, and it was a thrill that Jerry Glanville shared generously with the Houston faithful.
There we go. Houston proud. Oh, great, great.
Thank you very much.
Come in the locker room now when it's all over. Okay. We're going to celebrate a win together? Yes. Great, great, great.
Better for later. We're all winners tonight.
Great, great.
A renewed enthusiasm filled the dome as Houston Proud gave way to Houston Hysteria. The injured Alan Lyday's lucky crutch provided the pregame rallying point for the biggest event in the NFL's youngest team's life. On the first snap, Houston's powerful front five blew the visiting Seahawks off the line as the Oilers controlled the ball for over twice as long as Seattle. On defense, Jeff Donaldson made sure Seattle wouldn't even want it when they did have it. Warren Moon was at his pinpoint best. And Drew Hill and Ernest Gibbons shredded Seattle's secondary. And when push came to shove, Mike Rozier ran a mile just to gain one precious yard. Rozier's inspired dive turned the Astrodome head over heels as it put the Oilers on top. A pair of Tony Zendejas field goals gave Houston a 13-10 halftime lead. But after Seattle tied it with a field goal early in the third quarter, there was only one way to turn the tide back in Houston's favor. The Oilers' defense swarmed all over Seattle's runners, holding them to an incredible 29 yards rushing. Then, as they had all year, they made the big play. This kind of clutch play comes as much from heart as from design.
Go, Warren. Come on, Warren. Find him, Warren. Find him.
And sometimes the littlest men have the biggest hearts. 5'7" Willie Drury rose to the occasion for his first NFL touchdown, and the celebration had begun. The only question the Oilers left unanswered was, when's the next plane for Denver? With less than 2 minutes left, Houston seemed even safer as Zendejas set to ice the game with a 29-yard chip shot. Incredibly, the ball hit the upright and fell short. Seattle was given new life and responded with an improbable last-minute touchdown to force overtime. A lesser team might have crumbled under the weight of this cruel turn of events, but the Astrodome fans would not let their dream die. In overtime, Mike Rozier overcame a painful shoulder injury to gain 27 grueling yards. Critical catches by Highsmith, Ray Wallace, and Drew Hill carried Houston into field goal range, where destiny delivered one man a shot at redemption and one team a chance for glory.
Tony Zendejas with the kick of his life. On the line here. Snap back, ball down, kick up, on its way. And it is good! It is good! The Oilers win in overtime, defeating Seattle 23-20, advancing to Denver and the next round of the playoffs.
In 1987, the Houston Oilers had taken on the titanic struggle of an NFL season with youth, guts, and desire. During the season, they discovered an inner strength and a renewed sense of purpose. And when it all came together, they were no longer just a football team. The Houston Oilers were winners.